Founded in 1969, Fuji Sports is your #1 source for gis and grappling gear, specializing in superb customer service and high-quality judo and jiu-jitsu uniforms at competitive prices. Fuji Sports is a proud manufacturing partner with many established organizations throughout the world, and is also a proud sponsor of U.S. Olympians, BJJ World Champions, and MMA superstars. Fuji Sports offers gis, rash guards, t-shirts, backpacks, shorts, gloves, and more. Visit fujisports.com to buy or customize your own gear today.
Wow! Coming out of nowhere with a spinning heel kick. Knockout. This is Colin Crandall from iFluxy Studios bringing you the MMA Power Hour. I don't know why people. We'll be talking about everything MMA, recapping most recent fights, breaking down what happened, and especially going over the most exciting upcoming fights, looking at the matchups, breaking down analysis, even predictions, betting advice. All kinds of great things that we will be presenting to you here from super fans, knowledgeable people like myself who train and love MMA. So go to iFluxy.com and tune in for your weekly MMA action on the MMA Power Hour every Wednesday at 8. It'll be good, but Tyron Woodley is a badass fighter. Anyone that doesn't think so, go ahead and tell him to his face, because I ain't going to be doing that for sure, and neither are you. Get ready to feel the power. This is the MMA Power Hour. We're so happy to have you. Super excited. Got an absolutely fantastic show for you, so jump on in and let's get it started. Our first guest I've been looking forward to probably for the last few weeks, ever since we were lucky enough to get him on the show. And I'd like to introduce you to him. He is a UFC Hall of Fame member, a TV commentator, actor, and successful businessman. We're talking about Mr. Frank Trigg. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Really glad to have you here. Big fan.
It's nice to finally get on after all the prep. Trying to get this put together, and with my busy schedule, it's nice to finally have the time to get on.
Absolutely, we really do appreciate it. I know you just came in from out of town, and absolutely, really appreciate you jumping in with us here. So let me ask you, you've got a lot of projects going, but I'd love for you to kind of shout out some of the more interesting projects, or projects that are the most current or upcoming that you're most excited about, so that your fans and me get to hear a little bit about what's going on with Mr. Frank Trigg.
Well, it's weird for me, like a lot of the stuff I do now that I can't really talk about because of the NDAs. They make you sign these NDA contracts before you go into the film, and
right.
And, so it's like these weird little hiccups. Like the episode I just did with NCSLA ran this last Monday night. That was the season finale. I had a pretty good homeless man part in it, where I get my face smashed off a parking meter.
Nice.
In the middle of downtown LA. So that was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
And then my best project after that is I'm reffing the RFA fight that's going off in California on June 2nd, Friday, June 2nd. I'll be one of the refs for that. And then I go back to the Philippines, where I just was. Go back to the Philippines end of July for an opening of a casino nightclub. Cove nightclub is opening up. My buddy's one of the guys that's helping manage it.
Very cool.
And then I have some meetings with some directors out there, and I think I'll be shooting a movie in the Philippines sometime in September.
That sounds great.
It's going to be it'll be a co-starring role. It's not going to be anything major, but some acting and some stunt work at the same time.
Cool.
And then, as always, I'm always traveling. Most people know I do some men's health work with Universal Men's Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Their main offices here in Honolulu, but they have offices in 2 in Seattle, Portland, Salt Lake City, Tucson, Austin, Oklahoma City, Tulsa. So come the end of the month, end of May through the first part of June, I'll be traveling around to each one of the different clinics to say hi to everybody over there and give a little talk on men's health. And then just right back on the grind, trying to find the next stunt job, next acting job.
Very cool. That sounds really good. What the men's health clinics, what is that about? Is that like a lot of nutritional stuff or exercise or therapies or what?
What they do is they use testosterone as replacement for older individuals. So men that are like 35 years old and older, looking at the testosterone levels and keeping them at a regulated level, as opposed to the normal 1% to 3% drop that we get every year starting around 25, 26. You start losing, and for most folks who don't know, testosterone is like estrogen in women. Where women go through menopause, in their late 40s and 50s, and then men go through andropause. It starts way earlier, and it's not as noticeable because it slides down a lot slower. Where with women, the menopause just hits all of a sudden, 1 month to the next, you have it. Where testosterone levels, it just slowly slides off. You just don't realize how bad you are. And we're seeing a lot of military men that are coming back, and first responders that are getting back over here and getting tested. Their levels for their age group is really low because of these super high stress jobs.
Right.
So this clientele are first responders,
wow.
military guys, and that's been the biggest change. And these guys are young. Most of the time, protocol doesn't start till you're 35. There's no way you can do it till you're 35.
Right.
There's a lot of it accelerates your depletion if you start too young, and it's going to ruin your system. So a lot of guys, when you're 25, 26 years old, your testosterone level is still very high.
Yes.
But then for getting in your 30s and 40s, it starts coming off. So that's why 35 is the time to start getting checked. These guys are coming back to 25, 26 years old, but they've seen action overseas.
Yeah. They've
been in big shootouts, when they're first responders. They've been in high-rise fires, as firemen. And so it becomes very stressful, and the jobs are very stressful. We're seeing that those testosterone levels are dropping a lot quicker. So we start going on these tours, and the whole thing is just know your numbers. You got to know your liver, got to know your blood pressure, got to know your testosterone levels. You should know your numbers no matter what. Even if they're good, you should still know them every year. And that's what we go push when I go on these tours.
That's awesome, and that's really important. And taking care of the guys over there that were overseas is huge. I mean, I support all those things. If I had all the money in the world, I'd be giving a good amount of it to every single cause of Wounded Warrior and other things, because they deserve it so much. And it's great to know that the men's health clinics you're with are looking out for that, because we don't want to have stress causing our 25-year-olds to have a low testosterone to really bad levels. That's bad. And then also the work they're doing with the other guys over 35, me being one of them, that's absolutely a big thing. We don't have to be like our grandfathers or great-grandfathers that by the time they were 42 or 45, could barely help out carrying the groceries in. So this is it seems like it's some really amazing work that you're involved with at the clinics there. So kudos to you on that.
Thank you. It's one of my big passions, and we work with them for about 4 years now. Started out as a client, was a client for about a year, and then jumped into it and said, look, I want to be one of these spokespeople because I really believe in it. And, we found a way to make it legal because it's a prescription, and it's tough to have a public endorser push a prescription drug. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we had to do some legalities we had to jump through to make sure it was fine in the different states, and it worked out, and so here we are.
Cool. Good stuff. Well, I support that 100%, and glad you're doing it, and glad they were able to figure that out, that they could have you endorsing that legally, because that's important stuff. So absolutely all over that. And so the acting, then, that's something you've been doing for a while, and the NCISLA. Yep. Are you looking to do more TV or more movies, or you're down for both? Action, stunts? What do you like?
I'm down for both. Obviously, I can't do stunts forever. I'm eventually going to have to transition to full-time acting, but right now, I'm doing a lot of action stuff as far as my acting work. So it's getting some, it's becoming a little bit better. But it's like everything else. The more you do it, the better off you are at it. The reason why, people like Tom Cruise and Jason Statham and Sly Stallone and Randy Couture, the reason why they're so good at what they do now acting-wise, because they have a lot of repetitions. They have a lot of time in, and that's the reason why you're seeing it. And then, so it's like anything else. The more reps I get, the better I get at it, the more opportunity there is for it. So I pretty much say, yes, I've turned on a couple of acting roles, but nothing major. Stunt wise, it's always, I ended up, and the same thing happened with acting. I just ended up in television. It's just how it kind of worked out. Like some people end up in TV, some people end up in movies. I just kind of ended up somehow that was the track that was presented in front of me, and that's what I did. And for stunt wise, there's guys like, Tate Fletcher and Keith Jardine. Like those guys are in every major action movie that you're going to see. As stunt guys, and they work all the time, but they do mainly film, and that's just what they're just mainly on these big long drawn out 8 weeks in Bulgaria, and then come home for a week, and they're doing 8 weeks in Atlanta working on another film, and these guys work all the time, make a very good living, but they're more movie and film, and I do more television. It's kind of how my path went.
Right, that makes sense. And you're talking about the former light heavyweight fighter Keith Jardine.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know you were doing all kinds of stunts.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys now that used to be in MMA that have jumped over to stunts. Jay Haran.
Oh yeah.
Any New York-based show that you see, I don't care what it is, any show that's shot in New York, eventually at some point during the season, Jay Haran will be on it.
That's
He
cool.
all the time. Every Netflix show that was made in New York, Sarah Jones and Luke Cage, The Punisher, Red Devil. He's been in all of them. As a stunt guy, he works all the time. It's amazing to watch him work. He's actually one of the main reasons why I got into stunts and was like able to really approach it from a real standpoint and really make a living at it, because he kind of explained to me how the ropes work. Because acting and stunt work is two totally different mindsets,
right?
Two totally different games. It's a totally different look. Even though they both work on the same project, they're different ends of the project. So
right.
The easiest way to explain it is offense and defense on a football team. Yes, they're both on the same football team, but they're doing the opposite things. And so they're two totally different mentalities about how you go about your job. And Jay had explained that to me. He talked me through it, walked me through it, handheld me a couple times, in front of some stunt coordinators, and gave me the ability to have a good shot, because I kind of already knew it was going to happen when I got there.
That's very cool, and it's nice to know that he helped you out. How were you acquainted with him? Did you guys train together in MMA?
Yeah, Jay and I trained together at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas for almost half my career.
Cool.
When Randy opened up the gym, we all kind of migrated. All of us from where we all kind of migrated to where Randy was at, and then we sat there and started training, and it stayed all the way through. And after Randy retired, we kept training there. And then, Jay still is there. He still has a house in Vegas. Whenever he's in Vegas, he's training at Extreme Couture, and he's there whenever I go back in to see my kids, back to Vegas to see my kids. We always end up at Extreme Couture. It's just, we still go back there and train, even though we're in different parts of the country now.
That's cool. And Jay was a good fighter. He was that one fight. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that one fight, I think he did fight for the title in Bellator against Ben Askren, didn't he?
Maybe.
Yeah, I
think so. I think you're right, but don't quote me. I'm not.
No problem. And he did so good. I think it was like a split decision. I think if I'm not wrong, I think he did as good against Funky Ben Askren as anyone by far. So he definitely is a guy that could fight, and as you are as well. So it's good to know you guys are doing good things there, and it's good to know friends are helping each other out. And that's one of the good things I think about our community is you train hard together, you leave all the blood, sweat, and tears, and it really does usually mean that you have a camaraderie that will last for life in a lot of occasions, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. A lot of that's the same with wrestling too. So I've kind of been part of two sports where I've got friends, lifelong friends in both areas and in both mentalities. So it's kind of neat. Where Jay is also a wrestler as well as a fighter. So he comes from both. Just like Randy, myself and Dan Henderson, we all wrestled, we all fought. So we're all going to kind of be friends for the rest of our lives. Yep. Just by default, because we trained together, we bled together, and we've been over, we traveled together, different matches and different tournaments. So it's like we have that camaraderie with all those guys all the time.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that our show is about, Frank. A majority of my audience trains, and I guess I can't go and verify that 100%, but there are various demographics that I've done, and just the people that I've invited and the people that I've talked to, are 90% involved in a combat art, either Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, Thai boxing, kickboxing, or MMA. And so this is one of the things I think that's really unusual about our show is that we have really educated fans who are part of the brotherhood of people that train, and whether they fought or not as an amateur or pro, or just in their martial arts schools and academies like myself, they've done it. They've laid some blood, sweat, and tears, and so that's why I think we can all really respect it. And I'm really glad to have people on like yourself who really were there, back in the early days and really battled in the trenches and really has some character. I care more about guys like yourself than maybe someone that's 25 years old who may be a world champion now, to be straight with you, and I think our audience does as well.
Well, it's very random and rare as you see champs that young.
That's true too. It's
just now seems to be the mark, because John Jones kind of started off being that young.
Yep.
And being a champ, and there's a couple of champs right now that are kind of younger. Mm-hmm. But the reality of it is that most of the champs are older. Like, it takes a long time. You have to spend a lot of years training MMA to figure out what you're going to do with MMA and how is it going to work for you.
Yeah.
As a whole. And it takes 10 years to become a master of anything. Most of these guys aren't starting, until they're in their 20s. So it's in their 30s before they've mastered, actually. But then you start looking back at how the game actually developed and changed. That you can see why the younger guys were able to sneak in there right now. But it's gonna adapt again. Where it's gonna go back to being the older generation, because in the very beginning, everyone was older because no one else had anything else to do. There was no MMA to start with. And when MMA started, you had to draw from a certain level of professional, and that was the guys that competed in judo and taekwondo and wrestling and boxing at the amateur level, all were able to make the jump in MMA because we already had that much competition in something else. Now the stars you're seeing are guys that have only done MMA. And so right now they're becoming a little bit younger, but as that group gets older, so will the champions will get older. So it's going to be a little bit here where the champ's going to be older, but it's going to catch itself back up again.
I agree. And I think even right now we are seeing that most of the best guys are in their 30s as champions and top contenders. There are some youngers that snuck in there. But yeah, I think that will probably correct itself as well. So I do agree. But we're definitely glad to have established guys that set the path like yourself on the show. And speaking of which, what would you say from your perspective, having started when you did, are the positive changes you've seen in the world of MMA and the negative, and where you think it's going to be going and how soon? And I know it's a lot of stuff, but I know you have some opinions, and you're one of the best commentators I've seen, and I look up to you, and I'd love to hear your commentary on those couple of questions thrown in there together.
Well, I mean, definitely when I first started, when I first got in, it was the beginning of the weight class. For me, like the 6 months or 8 months before I started fighting, there were no weight class.
Right.
It was either, and then it kind of became over 200, under 200. That kind of became the split.
Yep.
And they started adding in more, adding in the weight class we don't know now. And so that's been a huge positive change for the sport to be able to function in the next millennia. Is that you have to make it so it's fan friendly and not going to be so violent and not get people so hurt that people go turn away from it and have a lot of pushback. Like you remember. McCain was pushing against it forever ago. He was calling it human cockfighting, and now he's totally on board.
That's right.
That's because we now have unified weights.
Mm-hmm.
We have unified rules.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of right now we have a little discrepancy because some new rules got added in, and some states haven't adapted it yet, and that's a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
But right now, it's really a situation where it's gotten safer. It's gotten better for longevity. Competitors, athletes in any sport will do whatever it takes to win. They don't care. Whatever is legally available to them to win is what they're going to do. So that's why we always keep having these changes, is because we're realizing, hey, this is every athlete's going to do this. It's in this sport, but it's not healthy for them. It's not good for them. So we need to change it.
Right.
We need to make an adaptation. So obviously, a lot of the adaptations I like because they made it better. Now, did I like it when I fought and there was head stomps and sucker kicks to the head, and I was able to knee a grounded opponent. Yeah, that was awesome when we were able to, what they called the pride rules.
Right.
It was awesome to have those pride rules. But then I also, too, now that I'm a referee and a judge, and I look at what's happening to these guys inside the ring, I'm like, yeah, that's way better that the head stomps and the sucker kicks and the knees on the grounded opponent are not there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of damage can happen. A lot more damage can happen to somebody. And it just inherently looks a lot more violent, even when the damage is being done really isn't that bad. It just looks a lot more violent.
Yeah.
Because of the way that the guys are reacting to how you're getting hit and how it looks. The optical aspect of it looks really bad. So it's been really good in that sense. And of course, California has led the way on this new weight cutting issue that's happening here throughout the sport. California proved it. Yesterday. They proved it yesterday.
Oh wow.
In the meeting. So now we have these new weight cutting protocols for California. And traditionally what happens is when California sets it, everybody else kind of follows suit. California is a unique entity in the sense that the moment it passes these new rules, they can set any date they want to enact them. They can say, okay, now these are the new so like the new rules we're talking about now with grounded opponent, which is the
right
Chris Weidman Gardner Musasi debacle, and then we saw it again with
Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. Yep.
Poirier, yeah. And so it's what happened in California. Once they approve it, California, Andy Foster picks a date and goes, hey, at this date is when we're changing these new rules. So for those rules, it was January 1st. Right. Come January 1st, these are the rules that we're going to start using in the state of California. Mm-hmm. They don't have to wait for that long drawn out process of getting it, of writing a law, writing a bill that then has to get voted in to become a law. And then once it gets voted in, then that's get voted on again to make sure it's going to be put into the commissions. And then so this whole process, like a 5-step. Most other states have a 5-step process to get these things in.
Right.
In California, it's passed. We have a date now when it's going to be enacted, and they're starting the new weight cutting situation sometime in June. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember when I was reading through the article that we got that it was going to be sometime in June that these new rules are coming into effect. And it's not because California is not prepared to start them right now. It's to give the athletes and the coaches time to understand what's going to happen.
Right.
If you do not do these things, what is going to happen, and give you some time to adjust and get yourselves ready for these new rules, and then you can step in and play with them as you please once you understand what they are. So it gives them a little bit of time. But these new weight cutting issues, a big change. I was totally against it as a competitor. I thought, look, I know what I signed up for. If I got to cut 20 pounds of water to make weight, and then I have to fight 24 hours later, and I have to rehydrate myself, then I better know how to do that. And so when I was doing it, we were allowed to put IVs in.
Yep.
So I cut a bunch of weight and put 2 IV bags in right after I make weight. I go upstairs and pay a nurse to drop 4 bags in me.
Right.
And they power 4 bags in me, and I'd feel right as rain the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys couldn't afford to do that. So as a result, the guys I was fighting, some guys couldn't do that. I'd be in better shape coming the 3rd round. I was better prepared, ready to go. That's just how it worked. I was like, I signed up for this. I know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I have to do. Stop messing with it.
Right.
But then, like I said, as I became a ref and a judge, I have a different mindset. It took me a while to kind of get my head wrapped around it, but I'm not looking at it as a fighter anymore. I have to look at it for fighters' safety. I have to keep fighters safe. That's my job.
That makes sense.
And you're like, wow, like cutting weight is not a safe way to do it, and it's kind of a difficult pattern. So they're doing, Andy and his group of people he entrusted to figure out the new ways and the fines and abilities for guys missing weight and cutting weight. This is what they're doing, and it makes a lot of sense to me. It used to be if one opponent didn't make weight, he owed the other opponent 20% of his purse, whereas only of his show-up money.
Right.
But so he hasn't made weight, he loses 20%, but then he wins. Now what happens? Now it's or is it 10%? 10%.
Right.
So now all of a sudden, he would win. He'd make that 10% back by winning. That's an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
So now it goes to it's 10% of your winnings and 10% of your show money too.
Good.
So, but your win money, all of it goes to the fighter, goes to the other fighter.
Oh wow.
To the other fighter. Of your show money, 10% of that 10%, half of it goes to the fighter and half of it goes to the commission.
Nice.
To pay commission bills, commission dues, things like that.
Yeah.
That's to pay for the referees. That's how you pay for the judges. So
sure.
the commission has to make money somehow. But it was a great idea by Andy to go, look, if this guy beats you, you get 10%, you get 10%, you get to keep all of it of his win money. And that makes a lot of sense. And if this guy doesn't make weight 2 times in a row, he has to move up.
Nice.
He has to move up to the next weight class. Now, he can come back down, but he has to be certified by a doctor saying he can make this weight again. But there's no more of this guys that are missing weight, multiple times. You're getting moved up to the next weight class. This is what has to happen.
Yeah.
That's going to force you to either make up your mind of, hey, you're right, I do need to move up, like an Anthony Johnson who started at 170, found his way at 205 and how good he actually became and how much of a devastating monster he was.
Yep.
It's because he moved up in weight and he got better.
Yep.
And he honestly, if he stuck with the sport and didn't retire as quickly as he did, he probably could have fought at heavyweight at some point. He has that frame, that ability, that size, but he was a guy that had to move up in weight. And there's a lot of guys I'm seeing now, like Gegard Mousasi, who just doesn't cut weight. The Lima brothers don't cut that much weight. They're just like, this is what we weigh. We kind of stay pretty close. We're always working out. We always stay close to weight, and this is just what it is. So when I go in and fight, I'm fighting at 170, and I go in fight night, I weigh probably 178. Where guys like me, when I fought, I would go in and fight, make weight at 170, and then would be 185 walking into the cage.
Right, big difference.
I'd be that big, but also too, that does a lot more damage to your body at a later period in time. So when these guys retired and they're out with their grandkids, that's when their knees are going to start failing. That's when their kidneys are going to start failing.
Right.
Just a lot more cautious. And so I'm totally for the weight cutting process now and the new protocol that California is putting in that will very soon be in every state. And I like the new rules. I like how they adapt the new rules with the eye pokes and the grounded opponent. Like I like how things are set up now. I really do enjoy that process, and I think it's better for the sport. And the sport's going to go a long way because we are making these small changes, every year or so.
Absolutely, and the fighters will go a long way further with their health with these changes, as you just stated so eloquently. So, yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a really good thing. And looking at it as a referee, and we're really glad to have a referee that really knows, that has been in there like yourself, because I know that's few and far between, although we have some guys that weren't in there fighting pro MMA but did have a lot of other background, but some that didn't. So I think you being in there as a ref and looking at these things from the clear perspective of someone that was in the trenches is all only a good thing. What do you think with the what California is putting into place, and hopefully what other states will put into place as well to copy them on that? Do you think that'll take care of any issues as far as weight cutting, or would you be for adding at least a couple or 3 or 4 different weight classes? What's your thought on that?
I've always thought there's need to be more weight classes.
Yeah.
But the question is, who has the ability and the money to add these weight classes? There's weight classes on the books right now. There's other weight classes that have already been allowed by the ABC Commission, which regulates the weight classes for mixed martial arts. They've already said there's these other weight classes are there. It's just it takes money to handle these weight classes. To put these weight classes into a. So you look at the women's division in the UFC, the 115-pound strawweight division.
Yeah.
They had to have a tough show to get enough people to have a weight class. And now Joanna Jędrzejczyk is completely dominating as a champion. Like, she's crushing her way through it.
Yep. But
they had to have a tough show. So they had to have that whole show of all the girls fighting off until you got down to Rose and Carla, of who's going to fight to be the final champ. And then they were the champ, and now they're part of the mix. But there's other girls that have come in. But that's how they had to start the weight class. You can't just start a weight class and hope people are going to watch.
Right.
So you had to put something behind it. So they did the tough show. Well, the tough show costs money. It's not free.
Right.
It costs money. They need to put these fighters on the contracts, which costs money. Then you have to have a slot on the card. So like there's 10 slots, for example. So there's 10 fights allowed on every card the UFC has. Every card. I know they do more. I'm just saying, for example, there's 10 fights.
Right.
Well, it's every fight you're trying to build a weight class up. At least every other fight, whether it's a fight night or pay-per-view or a fight for the troops or whatever they want to call it, you have to have that weight class to contest it, to let people know there's that weight class. That weight class is now a viable weight class. You have to let them know. Sometimes it's on the undercard, sometimes it's on the prelim, sometimes it's on the pre-prelim that's on Fight Pass. Like, you never know where these fights are going to be, but you have to have these fights. You have to have these things come out. Well, that's one slot where some other fight can't happen. There's not another. You could have put a welterweight fight in there. You could have put another middleweight fight in there. You could have put another heavyweight fight in that slot.
Right.
So that slot it costs money, but also takes the ability for other fighters to be in there while they're trying to build up these fighters. So it's tough to put in these new weight classes because it's going to cost money, and then you have to be able to promote the weight class.
The extra shows. Extra shows will have to be put on the cards every year, right?
Yeah, you have to start doing more fights. And I saw that. I just got a blurb from the UFC. I think it's on. I think they're doing it on a YouTube channel, maybe, or they're doing it on Fight Pass. Excuse me, I apologize. They're doing it on Fight Pass,
right?
I believe, but they're doing like Tuesday night fights now, or Thursday night fights or something. Like Dana's putting on, where there's going to be these up and coming guys that you haven't heard from, or these guys are on the way out of the UFC. They've had their shot. They're like on a 2-fight losing streak. They're on their way out. To give them a shot to win their way back into the UFC is kind of the premise. But it's really to promote these undercard guys we don't really know much about, and it's another night of fighting. I can guarantee you there's going to be a crap ton of women's fighting on there.
Cool.
There's a crap ton of these lighter weight classes on there.
Right.
Trying to get people to understand and pay attention to these weight classes. You're having a real problem when you have pound for pound the best fighter in the world, Demetrius Johnson, and nobody watches his fights.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Nobody watches his fights. There is an issue there. He's the best fighter in the world.
Yep.
And nobody watches his fights.
Yeah.
So what's the issue? You have to figure out, is it DJ? He's not a charismatic champ. Is it the fact the UFC doesn't want to put any money behind it and push it to promote it and market it? Or is it the fact that people, or the Americans and the North American public just doesn't care about smaller guys?
Right.
And, so what's the problem? A little bit of all of it.
Possibly.
Who knows what the formula is, but they're going to have to figure it out. And so I think this is one of the ways of them figuring it out is by doing this new thing with all these people, and having all these fights.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm a huge fan of Demetrius Johnson, and you're right. He doesn't get anywhere near the love that he should get and the respect that he should get, and he really is, in my opinion, I would say the best fighter pound for pound. And so, yeah, hopefully they'll do something to get him personally some more attention, because I think he is a charismatic guy. He's a good role model. He's a respectful guy, amazing mixed martial artist. And, they got to get some more love for the 125-pound class, and that would be the flyweight. 125, yeah, that would be the flyweight. So all you who don't know, look out for any fight that you hear the flyweight champion Demetrius Johnson. He's on a tear. I think 10 title defenses. Guy is absolutely a beast. Not weak in any aspect of his game. So
he's tied GSP's record.
Wow,
most of my title defenses.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
GSP was supposed to fight Bisping.
Yeah.
To beat the record again, and now that fight's off. So
yeah, that's kind of weird. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
It looks like DJ is going to get his shot to be the sole owner of it because GSP can't get his crap together. But right, aren't you surprised that Bisping GSP fight fell apart?
I really am because that looked like that was set, and then you heard the arguing and the bickering. But sometimes Michael Bisping does that to promote, and so I was thinking, okay, yeah, it's not a problem. This fight's going to go off, and even though Bisping is saying he better fight me in July, this and that, I didn't think it mattered. I don't know. And then you saw what Dana said was that GSP says he's going to fight in November. Who knows if he'll do that? I don't know. Dana sounded annoyed, and it sounded like he really wanted to make this fight happen sooner. And GSP was maybe feeling he wasn't ready for some reason. That was kind of a tough matchup for him, not to spend too much time on that, because I know we've got maybe 10, 15 minutes more with you before you have another obligation. But actually maybe a little bit longer. But what do you think? I mean, that fight was going to be interesting. If you had to break that down, most experts were saying that was just all bad as far as the matchup for GSP. But I'm a big GSP fan, and I know you, I think, respect him and fought him. How do you think that matchup would have gone or would go if that does somehow come down?
Okay, so on paper, Bisping should crush him. Bisping should beat him up.
Yeah.
Relatively easy. He's been way more active over the last 3 years, obviously, because GSP hasn't fought in 3 years. He has been growing and developing. He's got his confidence up after being a guy like Luke Rockhold. When I'm probably wrong, so forgive your listeners when I start emailing you and texting you and yelling at you that my stat was wrong.
That's okay.
But I think Bisping was probably a 4-1 or 5-1 underdog walking in the Rockhold fight and smashes Rockhold.
Yep.
And then comes in and beats. He hangs out with Anderson Silva. You know what I'm saying? After getting knocked down, he sticks with it. No matter how you see that fight, no matter which way you want to call that fight, he still hung out with him. He still stayed in the game with him.
He did,
even though he got dropped.
Yeah.
Then he fights an old man and Dan Henderson. Yes, but that was a very competitive fight. And remember, he's avenging the most devastating loss that anybody can remember about Bisping. Him being completely knocked out. He avenges that loss. So it's a good deal. I was thinking now he's going to fight Yoel Romero. And we're like, well, no, that's like Yoel's going to kill him.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's actually going to fight GSP. Like, oh wow, okay, this is actually kind of a good matchup as you start looking at it.
Right.
But then you realize that how much better Bisping has actually become.
Yeah.
But let's not forget, it's GSP.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, he hasn't fought in 3 years. For me, that's 9 matches. That's those 9 matches that I have missed, 9 training camps that I have missed.
Right.
To get ready in that last 3 years.
That's a lot.
For GSP, it's only 3 training camps.
That's right. Once a year is all he was fighting.
So how is he really behind? And he's always training. He's not a guy that's not training.
Right.
He's always training. He's always in shape. They said the rumor was he weighed 180 when he took the fight against Bisping, and that's why he's stalling for so long, because he needs to put weight on.
Yeah.
Enough to be able to fight him. He has to put good, solid muscle mass on.
Right.
It's like once he signed and said, "Yeah, I'm ready to come back and fight. I want to fight. I want to come back and fight." He was already in USADA doing the testing, so he's already got that. So that 4-month waiting period is already taken care of. Mm-hmm. So what's the holdup? What's the problem? What's GSP holding up?
Yeah.
He announced that he's ready to go. So the one thing I have to respect, and this of course is going on to the Mayweather and McGregor debacle that's happening right now.
Right.
But the thing I like about Mayweather is that when he announces the fight, it's like 9 weeks away, 10 weeks away, and the fight happens.
Yep.
And don't think he wasn't trained before that. Everybody knew that they were trying to get ready to do this fight. They're trying to negotiate it, trying to make things happen. He's already in the gym working out. His lawyers are trying to work out the line items. He's in the gym working out. Yep. Then all of a sudden they make the announcement, hey, in 10 weeks we're going to fight. All of a sudden, like, oh, wow, he's coming off the couch getting ready to go fight. No, he's been working out for the last 6 weeks. So he's going to have like a 16-week training camp to get ready to fight. He was ramping up, getting ready in anticipation of this fight happening. The fight's now going to happen. He makes an announcement, in 10 weeks we get to see the fight. With GSP, we got to wait 10 months to see a fight? It doesn't make any sense.
No.
So now you're ready to fight. You're ready to go. You say you're ready to fight. That means you've been training. You're ready to fight. I get you might need to put a full training camp together. Let's do it in 10 weeks. Okay, I'm good with that. We can do that. We can do that end of June, July. That's good. Mm-hmm. That works for me. No, I want to wait till October. Oh, no, I want to wait till November.
Yeah.
Not really fighting.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about a guy that always wants to push. Bisping would have beat him up. Should have beat him up relatively easily.
Yeah.
But I think if the fight happens and it happens in October, and GSP has that time to put the weight on and get himself, fully together at that size, I think it becomes a much more competitive fight. It becomes very, very difficult to pick.
Yeah.
But if Bisping fights in July and wins and beats Yoel Romero, who's supposedly going to be his next opponent now that the GSP thing is off, and GSP comes back on the table, if Bisping beats Yoel Romero, Bisping will be unstoppable. He was going in a weight class they can stop.
Yeah, I think so too. That would be huge, and most people and pundits don't think that will happen, and because Yoel Romero is absolutely amazing, but you never know. Bisping's so crafty, and so experienced, and and he's actually, I think, 2 years younger than Romero. So he's he's got some possibilities there. Bisping's such a tough guy, dealing with the injuries and damage he's taken, and he's definitely one of the guys out there that probably should get more respect than he does. I think if Romero wins, I don't think GSP's interested in that fight. Would you agree?
No, there's no way. And that was always my big question. Why are you fighting Bisping for the title?
Yeah.
They say you for a shot because you're next. You win. So you beat him.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, if you beat him, now what?
Now who does he fight? Luke Rockhold or Ribeiro or
those guys, and he's not. I don't care how much size he has on. He is not going to be able to maintain it.
No.
And there's no way that now with all the interim titles that they have, that he decides that he wins and wants to go down to 170,
right,
and battle for that belt. There's no way they're gonna let him keep the belt at 185.
No.
Now because we have to hamstring the weight class again.
Yeah.
It's wait, another year and a half before anybody else can battle for the belt.
Yeah.
We're going for an interim title, and they're gonna push him out of the way.
Yeah. I don't know what he's going to do, but it's unfortunate because now the way it's looking from him doing this, Dana will probably make him wait until next year to fight. And, it comes a point of diminishing returns, even though he is GSP. But if all of a sudden he can't fight until summer of 2018, he'll be, 37? I don't know. Go ahead.
And out 5 years at that point.
Yeah, that'll be nothing but not good, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He's an amazing athlete, and I know a lot of people like to see him back, so we'll see where he fits in. Speaking of which, let me break down a few fights, and this is a segment our fans and listeners really like, is to hear the pros break down some fights. So I've got some fights here. Want to see what you think and get your opinion. If you feel like you can make a prediction, good, or just a breakdown's good enough, whatever you want. But let's start out with a fight coming up over in Bellator. The champion Douglas Lima, in the weight division you fought at mostly, 170, is defending against Lorenz Larkin, who just jumped over from the UFC. In my opinion, and most people's opinion, that's just an absolutely crazy matchup of strikers and experienced guys who are also still really pretty much in their prime. What do you think about that matchup?
Well, on their feet, Larkin's obviously got the power, but Lima's got the length.
Yeah.
But Lima, unfortunately, doesn't fight straight. He fights very crooked, so he fights very hooky. He throws a lot of uppercuts and hooks.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't use his length to his ability because he's not scared about getting put on his back. He's not scared about getting taken down. Right. He doesn't mind. He's got good jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't mind fighting off his back with his jiu-jitsu. He's got a great game, so he doesn't mind being there, so he fights in close. But that's the Larkin's ability. Larkin's a shorter guy, but he's super powerful. He's going to be inside. He wants to work inside. He's going to bang him up. If Lima can tie him up and grind him out, Lima can kind of win a grind out. If he can push him against the cage, kind of win a grind out decision. But Larkin at any time in that fight can knock him out.
Right.
Anytime.
Right.
He's got such power, such explosiveness, and his leg kicks have come a long way in the last couple of years. Like he's gotten really good with his bottom half of his body. And when things need to happen, if he has a choice, he does when he's like, okay, now I have to really turn this on. I really got to get aggressive. I really got to find a way to do some damage on this guy because say I lost the last round. He always has that ability to be able to find some way to win rounds. Larkin has always been really good at finding a way to win rounds if the chips are down and it's close. Now, what he isn't good at is trying to find a way to win rounds when he's getting dominated.
Right.
If you dominate in the first couple of rounds, Larkin will not come back. He will start to sit down a little bit. He'll stay in the fight. You're not going to knock him out or finish him.
Yep.
He'll stay in the fight, but he's not going to try to come back. He's not going to try to accelerate. He's going to try to survive. And that's one of Larkin's biggest issues, that he goes from not trying to win to trying to survive the fight.
Yeah.
Which makes it a great fight, makes it look great, but then he takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's true. Although some of the performances where he got hurt and people were able to put it on him more were when he was actually 185 and 205. Although he's had some hard fights at 70, but at 70 he really is been mostly effective. But yeah, it really seems like that is something that has been a habit of his. And Lima hits so hard. I mean, what do you do when you have a game plan and you get hit so hard you're seeing stars? That could be a problem for Larkin. I don't really see either of the guys trying to go to the ground though, or being able to. Do you?
They're going to have to at some point because they're going to hit each other hard enough where someone's going to tie up and there's going to be that crazy slipping, tripping kind of fall. I'm on top of you kind of takedown.
Right.
It's not going to be like a shooting takedown.
Right, like scrambles.
We're just leaning on each other. We're tying each other up, and all of a sudden our feet get entangled, and I'm able to drive you down faster than you're able to drive me down.
Right.
That's going to work. But I think they're going to try to keep on their feet as much as possible.
Right.
Lima's going to understand it. Once he gets hit by Larkin, he's going to understand, like, well, I'm in a lot of heat. I have to start getting a lot more length.
Yep.
And Larkin's going to do the same thing. He's like, I'm inside, I'm beating this guy up, and I'm getting tagged. Like, this is not good. I got to figure out how to stop it.
Right.
And at some point, someone's going to get tangled up, and it's going to fall down.
Yeah, and these are both, like you were, big 170ers. As I mentioned, Larkin at one point having fought at 205 against King Mo. And then you have Douglas Lima, who Jimmy Smith was saying when he was on the show a month and a half ago or so, he's bigger than some light heavyweights. So these are two big guys, and no one's really going to have the physical size advantage as much as the height advantage, though, for Lima. But it's going to be really exciting. For those of you that don't know, also, this is a Bellator MMA welterweight title fight. So this is 5 rounds. No way that's not going to be a good fight. Don't you agree, Frank?
Well, I 100% agree. And the later it goes, the better it is for Lima.
Yeah.
Lima's got great stamina, great energy, and he's been in these 5-round wars before.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, obviously the benefit is to go late in the fight. But I still think Larkin's going to be able to eke it out.
Yeah.
I think we end up seeing a new champ at the end of this fight.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward that as well. I don't always make a lot of predictions as the host of the show, but it could go either way. I think I'm leaning toward maybe an edge toward Larkin, but I really could be wrong. And I've cheered Lima on for quite a while. I really felt that when he lost his title against the Russian Koreshkov, I think his name was, he was really badly damaged and injured. And when he came back, I even was telling my girlfriend, I was saying, put on the fight, watch this guy Douglas Lima come back and absolutely annihilate Koreshkov. And she's like, I don't know, Koreshkov looks like he's a hell of a fighter. And I'm like, yeah, but he's been waiting for a year and a half since he got beaten when he was really hurt. And so, yeah, I'm big on Douglas Lima, but yeah, I think it could be Larkin in this fight too. Let's go to the next fight. We are talking about Rory McDonald against Paul Daly. Super exciting. GSP's protege. Used to be Aries, now he's the Red King from Canada. Rory McDonald coming over from the UFC, his first fight in Bellator, and going against another top contender, Paul Daly, probably the winner, to fight the winner of Lima and Larkin. So it's really one of those great scenarios where they're both fighting in the same card. I like that. It's a really fan-friendly thing to do. But what do you think about that fight? Should be an exciting fight as well, don't you think?
Daly is going to give McDonald almost as much to handle as McDonald had against Lawler.
Wow.
So
yeah.
I want to see where's McDonald at really.
Yeah.
Because that fight with Lawler, that's a fight that changes a person. Like, they went deep into their wells. They had to be super stubborn to stay in the fight. Both guys' bodies were telling them, hey, look, it's time for us to quit. Like, let's fall down. When they were fighting, and neither one of them would fall down. They just went all the way till the end, and they had nothing left.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it's going to go with Daly. The thing is, though, is that Daly is a little bit more accurate than Lawler,
right?
And hits from weirder angles. I think Lawler hits harder,
yeah.
But Daly hits from weird angles, and that's why you get knocked out, because you never see his punch coming.
Right.
Because it's sliding in from underneath your arm, it's sliding in from underneath your block, and just sweeps in. You never saw it coming, and that's what gets you knocked out. He hits you hard, like 4 or 5 times in a row in the same position,
mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden, a couple minutes later, like, oh, the same punch is coming,
yep.
and sort of block that same punch, and he adjusts it just a little bit and catches you in your open spot.
Right, right.
He's just good like that, and it's going to be a super tough fight. The thing is, for sure, 100% of the time, no matter what, Daly wants to be on his feet.
Yes.
No matter what. If McDonald gets in trouble,
mm-hmm.
he can take Daly down and work him from on top.
Yeah.
He can actually get on top of him and work him a little bit. If he tries to take down Daly and slips and falls and ends up on the bottom,
bad.
And Daly's on top, it's going to be a world of hurt for McDonald.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to Daly that Daly's not going to nullify and crack you with that big ass hand of his.
Yeah.
So I really think it's going to come down to how good is McDonald at keeping Daly away from him as he strikes.
Right.
He's going to want to come inside and smash him up a little bit.
Yeah.
And McDonald's have to keep him on the outside. But because it's in London, so it's right by Daly's hometown.
That's right.
A crap ton of people that are coming there specifically just to see Simtek's fight.
Right.
That I think that it's got to lean towards Daly in this fight to win it.
And in your experience, is the jet lag going to be a factor for the Canadian Rory?
So I just got back. I literally got back. When did I get back? This morning?
About 12 hours ago or something?
About 24 hours ago, I got back to Manila. I was gone for 6 days. And Manila from Hawaii, there's an 18-hour time difference. Manila is 18 hours ahead. And it took me a couple of days when I was there to kind of get myself put together, as far as like jet lag goes.
Right.
But then coming back, I've been destroyed for the last 24 hours.
Oh,
like
wow.
My sleep pattern is completely mixed up. I'm completely wrecked. Same thing's going to happen going over to London.
Yeah.
That's how soon he goes. If you go over, say, the fight's on Friday,
right,
and you go over on Tuesday, you leave Tuesday, you land Wednesday, you make weight Thursday, you fight Friday, jet lag will not be a factor because you don't have time to get. You got to I got to get up and go work out. Okay, now I have to go. Now I have to go sleep. Now I have to get up and work out again. Now I have to go to sleep. Now I have to get up and make weight. Now I have to go to sleep. Now I have to get up and fight. You don't have time to get for jet lag to mess with you. Jet lag hits you when you get home. But I think Roy went over there like a week before the fight. So now jet lag is starting to settle in.
Right, and that wouldn't be good, yeah, because it's a reality. And he's had extensive nasal surgery after that Lawler fight, and I think apparently he's been healing for like a full year from that. And you know that Daly's gonna, probably, not only hit him there, but is gonna try to break that nose again. And if he hits him once, hard to say. Although, there's people that say you have surgery and your bone is even stronger. Although I don't know. I mean, what do you think? You may have had or may not have had your nose broken, but if you had extensive nasal surgery and someone cracks you really hard, is that going to probably cause problems or maybe not?
With any surgery, the bone is always stronger than it was, previous to, because they have to put plates and rearrange it and they make it perfect. So it's always stronger, but that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the first time he gets hit there, how's his mind going to react?
That's right, mentally.
Oh, crap, here we go again. I just got cracked. The first time he starts bleeding heavily, like what's going to happen to him? Man, I just went through a year worth of surgery. Do I want to go through a year worth of surgery again?
Yeah.
You can see guys, we've seen it before. You've seen guys turn their backs.
Yeah.
And turn away from the fight, and we got to wave it off because they turned away.
That's right. I think he's going to want to get that fight to the ground as soon as possible, and I think that's not what people are going to want. And you might see the boo birds or they start whistling as they do in England and Europe, meaning they're not happy, and that's booing. But, yeah, I think it'd be crazy if Rory doesn't do that. Obviously, the sport isn't as simple as just that, and Daly's takedown defense isn't as bad as that, so he can't just walk in and do that. But if he can get some respect using his reach and then probably go for the takedowns as soon as possible, I have a feeling that that's what's in his mind. If you saw the Frankie Edgar, I don't know if you had a chance in the Philippines, but Frankie Edgar fight the contender Yair Rodriguez this last Saturday. He basically did that. He basically took him down and pounded him, and Yair really hung in there and was not quitting, but Edgar was able to take him down and hold him down and smash him. And I think kind of that's probably what Rory's goal is going to be, take as little damage on his feet as possible. I would think you'd agree with that.
Well, Frankie's got a great wrestling background, so that's Frankie's style, no matter what, is to come in and get a hold of you.
Right.
A lot of people just remember the big match between him and Gray Maynard, getting knocked down, losing that first round and coming back and making the draw and then winning the other two. But Gray was also a wrestler.
That's right.
So they're wrestling nullified each other. That's why it became a stand-up war. Frankie, for the majority of the time, is the better wrestler than his opponents. So he takes him down, passes the guy, and beats him up. And he was a way better wrestler than Yair. And Yair was trying. He had trained with the best wrestler he could possibly get a hold of to let stop Frankie. But Frankie's got that time. He's got that energy. He's got timing, he's got energy, and he's got experience in the wrestling game. So he knew exactly where to go, and there's no way Yair could stop him. And then Yair is young; he's gonna be great. That kid's gonna be an amazing competitor.
Yeah.
But it's just not gonna happen for him right now. Frankie's the guy that's gonna be in the game right now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with Paul Daly, everybody knows that Daly has a hard problem with wrestlers. He complains about it all the time.
Yep.
All he wants is hold me down. I just want to hold me down. Well, yeah. Because you hit hard as a truck, man.
Right.
I don't
Exactly.
want to, of course, I'm going to hold you down. I don't want to take any damage.
Yep.
I'm not stupid. It's like, of course, the best way to beat him is to take him down, and I got to think that Roy's going to go in and try for the takedown as quickly as possible. But I do know that Paul's been working on his takedown defense because he knows if he gets on his back, he's in trouble.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really the reality of it. Sorry to interrupt you. But remember when Daly was so frustrated about maybe 8 or 10 years ago against Josh Koscheck that he walked around the referee and punched him? Imagine if you were the referee. There's no way I guess anyone can anticipate that. I don't know if it was Big John in that fight or not. But if Paul Daly had gotten up and you were the referee there not knowing or expecting anything, you think you could have read his intentions or done anything to stop him from punching Josh Koscheck? And if he did, would you have done anything different as far as being the referee if you had reffed that fight?
Well, he's going to step in the way. You just want to, stop him from doing it. But that's a lot to pay attention to if the fight, the fight had ended.
Right.
It was over. You just say, okay, guys. But usually most guys are respectful enough just to go to their other corners. Yeah, they're mad. Yeah. And they're going to bitch and complain, but they're going to swing at another guy.
Yeah.
I actually had an instance in one of the fights I was reffing. The fight was over, and I went to the timekeeper to get the time so I could tell the head table, what time the fight finished. And the corners now are brawling. They're fighting each other. I'm like,
oh wow!
I'm totally not because I'm doing something else.
Yeah. The
inspectors are in the ring and all that. So now it's a whole thing going on. And I was like, hey, what's the protocol? Like, hey, once the inspectors get in and the corners come in there, it's up to them.
Right.
They got to handle it. But the time, like when Daly hit Koscheck, the doors hadn't opened yet. The fight had just ended.
That's right.
And that, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
You hope that doesn't happen. You don't want to see, someone just sitting there with their eyes open, all of a sudden get smashed, without knowing it was coming because the fight's done. You think it's time to relax.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you get hit again. You're hoping no one takes any damage like that. That's just a bad way to take damage. So you hope that you can see it happening, that you can stop it. But, obviously Paul got fired from the UFC, got fined, and got banned.
Yeah.
So they got hit with everything. So
yeah, Dana said he would never have him fight again. It'd be interesting if Daly wins this and then somehow could beat or on the way to fight the winner of Larkin or Lima. You'd wonder if maybe Dana and with the new management would go back on that ban and try to scoop him up in there, because the Bellator 170 division is starting to look really good. The UFC is as well, but Bellator is looking like it's really competitive, and I have a feeling that they would probably love to be able to snatch someone out of there like Daly, especially before he lost, or I don't know if Lima lost, if they'd want him, but Bellator coming up with that welterweight division for sure. Well, let me see what we're looking at here, and let me look at the time you had. So you know what we're going to do? Let's go to one other fight here. I'm going to give you a choice of 3 fights, and I want you to pick which one you'd like to break down. Would you prefer actually a choice of 4 fights? Phil Davis, Ryan Bader, Alex Gustafsson, Glover Teixeira, Jose Aldo and Max Holloway, or Derek Lewis and Mark Hunt? Which one interests you most?
Holloway and Aldo.
Okay, let's have a little Frank Trigg breakdown on that.
So now, most people know I actually work with Max Holloway here.
That's right, in Hawaii. Yeah.
We train together in the same spot. I've been staying away from his training sessions because I know at some point I'll be roughing on a card that he's working on. I don't want to have that just disqualification because of it.
Right, conflict. Yeah.
So, but I do pay attention to the weight class pretty significantly. You have to understand something. Aldo loses to McGregor. McGregor goes down, beats Alvarez, or goes up and beats Alvarez. He's now 2-belt winner.
Right.
They strip him of the belt that he just won, that he just knocked Aldo out for.
Yep.
They give it to Aldo. So now all of a sudden Aldo's a champ.
Right.
Well,
that's crazy.
You just lost. How are you the champ? And you have the interim belt.
Right.
With Max and forgive me.
Yeah.
Holloway and
I forget who he went up against. Gosh, I can't. It's slipping my mind either. A really good contender that he did beat, though.
He wins the interim belt, but he actually won.
Yes, he did beat
like
someone.
A 5-fight win streak.
Yeah.
You're like, so there shouldn't have been an interim belt. There's just been the championship belt.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you have to unify this belt. But Max, being the Max that he is, decides that he's going to do it in Brazil, in his hometown. So there's no way that anybody can argue about where it was, what happened. Aldo was jet lag. He's not going to have any of those arguments.
No excuse.
Because he's going there. Max is going there. Max is going to the Lions Den to go to fight.
Nice. Max
is young. Max is hungry. He has some personal issues he had to take care of and get dealt with. Everything's put back the way it's supposed to be put. And now all he does is train, eat, and sleep this fight. And that's all he's doing. Aldo, on the other hand, is fighting though from a point of I slipped when I fought McGregor. He caught me off guard.
Yeah.
It wasn't really my best output. So now he's trying to put his best output forward. We are in for one hell of a fight because both these guys have something to prove.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both guys have something to prove. That, hey, look, one guy is saying that, hey, look, I am the next blood that's coming in. I am the young kid that's going to be the next champ. That's going to run this weight class for a long time. Like, I'm that guy. And the other guy is going, hey, look, I was undefeated for 10 years. Like, I am the guy. I'm the guy that everyone should be looking at as pound for pound the best fighter in the world. It's just I hadn't fought because I got injured. And now I'm not injured. I got caught. So now this is what I'm going to try and show. We're going to see a great fight, but Holloway's going to win that fight. Holloway's going to win the fight.
Yeah. But
it's going to be an amazing fight. Now, everyone's talking about finishes this and finishing that. Mm-hmm. I really do think this fight's going to go really, really late. I think that it's going to end up into the 4th round, but I think Max finishes him in the 4th round.
Gotcha. And I like that prediction. And I think you could do the MMA math, which usually ends up being bad, which shows that look at their performance against common opponents. Max Holloway doing the very best against McGregor of anyone other than Nate Diaz, and Aldo getting completely smoked by him. But then, like they say with MMA math, right, it adds up. 1 to 1 doesn't add up to be 2. But in this situation, I think Max has just gotten so much better since then, and is so hungry and training so hard. And it's good to know he's had you consulting with him there and giving him that wealth of experience that you have. So yeah, Max Holloway, he and Tony Ferguson are 2 young men that have been impressing me the most as far as how they've ascended and gotten better and better and better over the years. 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, people were saying, yeah, Max Holloway, good, yeah, coming up, young guy. Tony Ferguson, good, this, that. Now they're 2 of the best guys out there, and I know they're different guys, but they kind of remind me of each other in how balanced they are. And so, yeah, I think Max wins that, but I think it's going to be a war. There's going to be some blood and some lumps on people's head in that fight, no doubt.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's really going to be, but it's still Aldo. So yeah, I think that Max is going to win this fight by finishing the 4th round. It's still Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
That kid still finds a way to win. He still has some heart, and it's in front of all his countrymen. So he's going to have a little bit more to come in. So no matter how this fight goes, it's going to be an amazing fight to watch.
Yeah,
for sure.
without a doubt. And if Aldo comes back with a lot of leg kicks like he used years ago against Uriah Faber, that could be interesting for sure. But it's going to be a great fight, and we'll see. Well, let me ask you this, and I think we got 5 minutes left till you have to get to your other obligation. I'd love to hear any funny moments that you can remember in your travels in MMA, whether you were in the middle of them or anyone else was in the middle of them, that you could share for the next 3 to 5 minutes to share with our fans, to make them smile and to just hear a great story from someone who's been to so many places and fought in so many countries and met so many people as you have.
You know what? It's tough because a lot of the fun stuff you can't talk about.
That's right. That's true too.
A lot of stuff they're going like, well, I can't really say this.
Yeah.
I can't really. And the thing is, you can't even dumb it down. You can't even go okay, so I'm not going to say the fighters' names.
Right.
Stuff still happens. So when I first got to Pride, was commentating.
Right.
He had already pulled the joke on Mauro Ranallo, and Boss Rutan pulled a joke on him with Crow Cop. If you guys aren't familiar with it, Crow Cop obviously is a very stoic, very quiet, very demeaning, very tall stature structure. So when you go and talk to him, do interviews with him before, like the pre-fight interviews, so we can have it for the American television airing for Pride. He's a very hard interview. He doesn't like to talk much, doesn't like to say much, just doesn't. They did his prank with Mauro. He went in there and he was acting like he was mad at Mauro and trying to scare him off. Yep. It was an amazing. It's all over YouTube. Everyone talks about it. It's super funny to watch because Boss Rutan put Crow Cop up to it.
Oh wow.
So I had already seen that thing, that YouTube thing, but they didn't realize I had seen it when I started working. So I first show up, and then Mauro's now trying to get me, because I'm working with Mauro, and they're trying to get me to go and interview Crow Cop. I'm the one that's going to interview Crow Cop. Mauro's like, I won't interview him, man. We have bad blood. We don't like each other. He's very hard to deal with. It's very hard to, with all this other stuff going on. And so they were trying to set me up to have the exact same thing happen to me, where he was mad at me, where Crow Cop was mad at me, but they didn't realize that I'd already seen the other video. So I just kept asking him questions. So he'd be really stoic and wouldn't give me any answer. Come on, Crow Cop, you gotta give me something here. I need Merkel. I need something from you to be able to give back. So let's try this again. I just kept doing it over and over again. Right. And then finally he was like, I don't know what to do. And he was wasn't talking to me. He was talking over my shoulder. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm like, yeah, you can't. I already saw the other video. You're not going to catch me the same thing.
Nice. I got
over on it because and I'm going to be honest with you.
Yep.
It wasn't like I was doing research and trying to find out what my broadcast partner was like.
Right.
It was I told somebody, hey, I'm going to Pride. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to start interviewing. I'm going to start commentating for Pride over there. It's this fight group over in Japan. I'm like, oh yeah, there's this thing on YouTube. You should check it out.
Nice.
And I went and I looked at it. I think it was going to be something about Pride, some in-depth background historical information,
right.
And it was just that interview. So I got super lucky.
Nice.
I saw it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I know what's going on. It's fine.
I love it. You avoid being punked by being made aware of the video beforehand. That's awesome. That's a great story, and I remember that well. That's very cool. That had to be funny with Crow Cop saying, what do I do from here? You're looking back and saying, what the hell? That's
what do I do? I don't know what to do anymore.
That's classic. That's funny. Well, I remember that, and you did great commentary over there. Those were great days, the Pride days, and I missed them a lot. Well, I really want to thank you so much for coming by, Frank. I really have enjoyed having you on, man. Always looked up to you as a fighter and as a commentator, and I really am just pleased as punch, as they used to say, that you came on here and shared a good amount of your time with us and with me on the MMA Power Hour.
It was great. I had a great time, and hopefully I'll be back on again soon.
Absolutely. We'll definitely arrange for that. Love to have you, and anytime we'll be in touch. And so everyone, that is Mr. Frank Trigg. I'm going to thank you so much, Frank, and we'll definitely be talking to you soon, my friend. You have a great night.
Thanks. Take care.
You too. That was Frank Trigg. What a nice guy. What a smart guy, personable guy. Comes back from the Philippines. 24 hours later, he's on our show. Not a lot of people will do that for you, and he really is a good guy and definitely a friend of the show, and we're going to be supporting Frank Trigg. And, when someone's a good guy like that, and he really is, and he's a guy who's been there and done that, UFC Hall of Famer, what can you say? Really great guy. I'm so glad we had him on. Hope you all really enjoyed that. So what I want to do real quick before our next guest is I want to let you know that our friends over at Fuji Sports are absolutely rocking. Everyone knows they're all around gi. All of you guys from wherever you're listening, gis or kimonos you train with for jiu-jitsu, for judo, for karate, Fuji Sports has it, and that's fujisports.com. Great prices, but not only that, quality. When you're wearing your gi, it's not going to be torn off you. It's not going to be stiff. It's going to be a really good quality garment, and you're going to be able to train with it and look sharp in it as well. Be comfortable. You're going to be able to move. Also, their gear, whatever you want, mitts, bags, gloves, protective stuff for kickboxing, whatever sport you're training in, whatever combat sport, Fuji Sports has it. And they are willing to give you guys 15% off if you jump on their website and put in the code Power Hour. So when they ask for a discount code, you're going to put in Power Hour, 15% off the already sick prices, as they call it. Really great prices from Fuji Sports. Get the good gear. When I need gear, that's where I go. That's where our team goes. That's where most people are going if you look online. They're one of the biggest, and pretty soon they're probably going to be the biggest and the best, Fuji Sports. Also wanted to shout out our friends at mixedmartialarts.com. Most of you know that there were maybe a couple other websites that were around in the late 90s. Mixedmartialarts.com is the one that has stayed the strongest, maybe with one other one. But as far as the news, they're the top. As far as the underground forums, bar none. Everyone from back in the day knows what was the website that has the best underground forums, where you can talk to pro fighters, that pro fighters are on there, that people who know what they're talking about are on there. We're talking about the UG, the underground, at mixedmartialarts.com. So go check it out, read their news, jump on the UG and the underground. You will be really glad you did. So we are going to be having our next guest coming up here. Let me check with my producer, and he's going to be queuing that up here. And so let's get that going now. I am so glad to have this next guest on the show. She is the LFA Flyweight Champion of the world, a top contender for the Invicta Fighting Championship Flyweight title, and in my opinion and everyone else's opinion, soon to be a top contender in the UFC Flyweight division. I am so excited to welcome Andrea KGB Lee to the show. Welcome to the show, Andrea.
Hey guys.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Cool.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, I am so glad to have you here on the show. So many people are excited to have you, and we've just been cheering for your career, and you've just been so exciting and cool, and you seem like such a nice person, and so I want to let you know you have a lot of fans all over the world, and a bunch of them here that are listeners of the MMA Power Hour.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully I'll gain some new fans after talking with y'all today.
Absolutely. I know you will. So how's everything been going? I know you're training for a big fight coming up, and so we're definitely going to do a lot of talking about that and a whole bunch of other things. But to get to know you, can you tell us a little bit more about the UFC? I'm sure you can't divulge anything you're hearing definitively, but I remember that division is happening, according to Dana White, sometime this year. So I bet you got to be excited at some time soon to be putting on some UFC gear. Am I right?
Oh, extremely excited. I mean, I'm going to be sad to, retire my old KGB murky white uniforms, but when it's time to step in that UFC cage, that's what I'm going to have to do, and that's what I worked hard to do.
Absolutely. Sorry to interrupt you there. And the 125 division is going to be just great. I think I mentioned when you and I spoke briefly that it is just like a murderer's row of girls that are going to be there. Right? And what I like is that you're already there maintaining your career and keeping yourself at 125 at that weight. Whereas I think a whole bunch of girls are going to be coming down from 35 and coming up from 15. Would you agree?
I agree. There's going to definitely be a lot of girls coming up and a lot of girls coming down in the UFC.
Yeah.
It's a fully stacked division.
It really is. And so I'm excited that you're going to have that. And I honestly think right now you're the most popular 125 women's fighter in the world. And I think you'll be one of the most, if not the most popular in the UFC as well.
I sure hope so.
Right on. Well, keep doing what you're doing. Well, let me ask you, what would you like to tell the listeners about yourself to kind of, fill in people that don't know so much about you, and maybe even let the listeners who know a little bit about you, to kind of, know more about Andrea KGB Lee. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, how you got into MMA, if you were an athlete before or training in martial arts, or, just, a little bit about how this career in MMA fighting came about for you.
Okay, well, I'll try not to ramble too much.
Awesome.
But I'm from a small town in Texas called Atlanta, and I lived there my whole life, and I had always been interested in martial arts, but there was never really anything offered for me there. And so, it wasn't until I graduated and moved to Shreveport that I actually started seeing a lot of advertisement for boxing and kickboxing, and I started seeing advertisement for MMA, but I didn't really know what MMA was. But I did know what boxing and kickboxing was, and I was very interested and intrigued in that. But it wasn't until 2010, I was 20 years old, that I actually decided to put my foot down and find someone that would coach me and take me seriously. Because I had been working at Buffalo Wild Wings at this time, and I had been seeing a lot of UFC fights.
Interesting.
During the weekends, and it kind of like sparked my interest once again, and seeing how it was really something that I'd always wanted to do. And then the sport actually started getting bigger and bigger, and I never was really interested in doing like regular karate, point, like taekwondo or any point kickboxing or anything like that. I was interested in actually learning how to fight. Like I wanted to know how to defend myself. So I started asking around, and one of my friends suggested Donnie Aaron, who is my coach now to this day, is also my husband. Cool. But I found him. I walked into his gym, and he was not at all what I thought he was supposed to have in a coach, because he was young. He was like 34 maybe, tattoos, and I was expecting like an older, like an old man with gray hair. Right.
The image of the rough, grizzled trainer and coach, right?
Right, yeah. I was, because I guess, because I'd watched all those TV shows and movies, and all the senseis, they're all old people, and I was expecting an older man. Sure. And I was like, man, I wonder what this dude's going to be able to teach me. But, I learned quick. I learned a lot of stuff from him, and, and I'm really great because of him.
Cool. And we
started out.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue on.
I was just going to say we started with boxing, and my ultimate goal was to do MMA, and I told him I wanted to do that, but he wanted to ease me into it, and he always used the analogy, you don't throw a frog into boiling water. It'll jump out. You sit it in cold water, and then you let it boil over time, and and then what happens to the frog? It dies. But
right, I get it though. I get it.
You get the point, yeah. So he wanted to ease me into there. So we started off with boxing, and then we started doing jiu-jitsu, and then kickboxing tournaments, and then Muay Thai, and then I started off doing MMA, and everything just kind of took off from there. I ended up having like 40 fights as an amateur, total combined.
Wow.
Boxing and MMA.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's more experience than a lot of your opponents have. And it's funny, a lot of people forget to look at that statistic, and they may see you going up against a girl that has 20 MMA fights and say, wow, well, this girl's, twice as experienced as Andrea. And in reality, you're twice as experienced as her.
Yeah, I mean, and that was my whole point. I wanted to be like thoroughly groomed before I became a pro. I really wanted to be ready and prepared. So I made sure, to have as many fight opportunities as I could as an amateur, because I knew once I turned to pro that I wouldn't be able to fight all over like I can as an amateur.
Absolutely. And maybe that might account for why you seem so relaxed and upbeat and smiling and everything before your fights, is it's just not as scary and stressful as it must have been those first several fights nowadays, I bet, huh?
Oh, yeah, that definitely helped out a lot. I was, because at the beginning, I was all smiles and stuff, but I was really nervous.
Sure.
And I just remember getting the butterflies and forgetting things like my mouthpiece and throwing up afterwards because my adrenaline was like crazy.
Absolutely.
And I knew that I needed to learn how to control it like right off the bat. So, I mean, the more opportunities that I had to fight as an amateur, the more I was able to learn how to breathe and just relax,
Absolutely. And because I think one of the great philosophies out there that I like a lot says the thing that we all fear the most is the unknown, right? And so by you having fought so much and been used to it, it was no longer unknown. Having the people screaming, having that adrenaline flowing, seeing someone possibly mad dogging you across the cage or ring became, not unknown for you anymore. And it does make a big difference, huh?
It really does. And I encourage all amateurs to do exactly what I did. You don't want to have just a few fights and then decide, I'm 3-0, I'm going to turn pro. I'm ready. I need to make some money.
Right.
And then get smashed, because you didn't get the experience that you needed. You need to take advantage of being an amateur and use the opportunities that you can get to fight more often and do boxing and kickboxing and Muay Thai and MMA and just travel.
Absolutely. And get in there and do it and get used to the routine.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That makes sense. And it sounds like your manager, your husband, was a guy that really looked out for you in that regard. And, I don't know whether he's looking for anybody else to join the team, but if so, let's throw some light on him and show him some love. What was his full name and what's the school where you train with him?
Donnie Aaron, and we train at Karate Mafia in Shreveport, Louisiana. And our gym is actually on our property now. Like we moved our gym from a place in Bossier, which was 15 minutes away, to building a spot out here on our land. And it's so much easier to get back and forth. I mean, we just take a golf cart, or we could walk. We could walk to it or jog to it. I mean,
cool.
We have we have 20 acres, and so we were able to build it right there, and it's great. But yeah, Shreveport, Louisiana, and Donnie Aaron.
Cool.
Is his name.
That's cool. And are you all looking for more people, or would you be open to them, or women or men or both, or?
Yeah, we're open. We want serious competitors. We would love to have more training partners for sure, but for the most part, we want people that are actually like serious about fighting. Mm-hmm. And really want to go somewhere with it. And
can they be amateurs or only pros at this point?
They can be amateurs. We still have a few amateurs, that are at our gym. But I mean, we want both. We've gotten to where we don't necessarily want to start over at the beginning with people, mm-hmm. because a lot of those don't really last. So it's good to get somebody who already is experienced, maybe has a wrestling background or knows some jiu-jitsu or maybe he's taken some boxing classes, but is experienced in that,
Right. Very cool. So if it is an amateur, someone that has, a record and is not just starting out, but has maybe been rocking a dozen fights or close to that or more. And then if it's a pro, that would be okay as well with some experience. That makes sense. Right. What's the best way for people to hit up your husband to go and train with you guys through social media or email or anything like that?
They could hit me up through my social media. He helps me with all of my social media. So either through Twitter or my Facebook page and Instagram and all of that. You can find me through Andrea KGB Lee. Also, my email is andreakgblee@yahoo.com. So, I mean, you could email me and him or I would receive it. And, that would help a lot. But we do like to bring people in, come and train for a little bit, if anybody is interested in that.
Very cool, and that's in Shreveport, Louisiana. So anyone around that area or that can make it out there, it looks like you got a really great camp, a trainer and head coach that cares, and you'd be able to train alongside Andrea KGB Lee here if you're serious and focused. So keep that in mind. So what's it like to have your husband as a trainer and coach? I'm sure you've seen from movies, and also if you've paid attention possibly to like maybe boxing in the past. Haven't been too many cases in MMA, but how does that work? Was that something you guys were both strong and confident in embarking upon, or did you guys have to say, well, do we want to make this the team where I'm training you? How did that come about? Was it a slam dunk that you were both excited to do it? Did you have to think about it? And how obviously it's been working out well, but what are the unique aspects of that you deal with and that you work with having your husband be your manager?
Well, we started our relationship probably a year after I had been training with him, and I had maybe a couple of boxing matches underneath me at this point, and we didn't really have a discussion. We never really discussed any of that. I just always thought, well, if we split up, I'm sure I wouldn't be able to train with him anymore, and that would suck.
Yep, definitely.
So that did cross my mind, but we were with each other for a little bit, and then I ended up getting pregnant with Ainsley. We have a 5-year-old.
Awesome.
And then she came along, but I went straight back to training like right after that. But like as soon as I found out I was pregnant, he was all about wanting to be a family and like work things out, and he was like, come stay with me, he's like, well, we'll be we can work on things, be a family, and he wasn't all about letting me do it all on my own, so I really appreciate that.
Cool. It sounds like a very good guy. Sounds like a really good situation. And
yeah.
Are you getting your daughter into any sort of basic exercise or any kind of training, anything like that?
She does. She comes to the gym and she trains with me and with Donnie. And
cool. She likes it?
Yeah, so she gets to do her striking. She does a lot of that with him and with me, but she works a lot of jiu-jitsu, ground, and wrestling with me also.
Right on.
And she likes it.
That's cool. A good thing. It really is. And I'll tell you, one of the things I know, being a bit older, is that there was time like 20-some years ago and more that hardly any women or girls were getting into any sports. And I think you guys are such great role models now that are showing women you can get in great shape and be strong and look great and be healthy. And I think the women's sports and girls' sports in schools is really getting so much better. And I think that, that you guys kind of blazing the trail are a big part of being great role models. So I want to give you kudos for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I try to be a good role model to everybody, all
absolutely,
adults and kids.
Yep, absolutely. It's important, and also in being in the public eye, it is important. I know some people say it's not part of their job, but I think it kind of is, and I think it comes to some people naturally. And you seem to be such a genuine, nice person, and respectful and cool, and and I think you'd be a great image, and I think have been a big part of being the face of both Legacy and Invicta, and would be for UFC as well. So keep up the great work there.
Thank you.
Not a problem. So let me ask you, the fight you have coming up, because we want you guys to know she's joining us when she's in camp, which is really huge. We want to really thank Andrea for jumping in here because she's training like crazy. Tell us about the upcoming fight, when it's going to be. We know it's for Invicta, but tell us about a little bit about your opponent and what your thoughts are and how training's going for that upcoming fight.
Well, I fight on May 20th in Kansas City. And training is going very good. I've been fighting Liz Tracy, and she's a wrestler. She's pretty scrappy on the ground. She has a lot of forward pressure, and her striking is not that great, but her ground game is pretty solid. I feel pretty good about this fight, though. My takedown defense is great, but so is my jiu-jitsu is good. So I'm prepared for it to, if it does go to the ground, then I feel good about either being able to work up a submission or get back to my feet and finish it from my world. You know, I mean, I'm hoping to strike with her and get a finish, get a knockout. Training camp's been good though. I've been training hard. I've been pushing it. My weight cut's been great, and my diet's been good. I'm feeling pretty swole right now.
Awesome. Looking great. Looking fantastic. Cool.
Yeah, so I'm feeling good.
Awesome.
I know that she's a lot shorter than me, and her reach is way shorter than mine. I have a 69.5-inch reach.
Nice.
And that's pretty long. I got some monkey arms.
I like
I
it.
feel like that's going to come in my advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the fight last night, the co-main event with Johanna and Jessica, it sure did there come into Johanna's advantage. And, you know, before we go into that, I want to let people know that you can see this coming up fight on May 20th on UFC Fight Pass. Is that correct, Andrea? Right.
Yes, sir.
And
yes.
do you know what which order it is? Are you going to be the third fight or the fourth fight out of 10 or 11? Do you have any idea, or do they kind of not make that clear?
Well, I don't know yet, but I'm pretty sure that I'm probably going to be one of the first few fights. I think because Liz Tracy, I think she's she's 3-1, but she's making. I think this is her Invicta debut, so I probably will not be on any. I won't be on the later card. I'll probably be on the early card.
Gotcha. Okay, so you guys don't miss it. I mean, I know personally when I see an Invicta card, I'm watching every single fight because the ladies throw down. Andrea can attest to that. The ladies throw down, and so you don't want to miss any fights. But if you guys were thinking of maybe missing the first couple or 3 fights, as I've heard some people do, be careful. You don't want to miss Andrea's fight. It's going to be amazing. So speaking of that, what do you think? Can I have your breakdown on what we all saw with the UFC 211 card with Johanna and Jessica? It was really interesting, competitive for a bit, but then not for a bit. Can you break down Can you break down your feelings of what was going on there, maybe from a fighter's perspective that maybe the average public wouldn't really think too much about, as far as what was going right for a while with Jessica and what wasn't, and kind of how it all played out?
Well, I think, and Andrada, I mean, she went in there and tried to finish her early on in the first round, and I feel like she still was able to go all 5 rounds, but I think that she probably used like a huge amount of strength in the beginning, trying to finish Johanna, and I think it just took Johanna like a round to warm up, and then once she was warmed up, she was her again, I mean, she was keeping her distance. I mean, her footwork was on point. She was moving around the cage. She would not let Andrada back her into the cage. Like anytime that her foot got like past the octagon line, like she was cutting left or right and circling out, and she was keeping that jab in Andrada's face the whole time. And a lot of the shots that Johanna was landing, they probably weren't doing significant amount of damage, but they were keeping her at distance, and they were making it difficult for her to get in on her and close that distance. And every time that she would get close enough to get a takedown, Johanna would defend it. I mean, even whenever she got picked up and slammed, Johanna would brace for impact, and then she would get back up and back to her feet like right away. And I think that was probably demoralizing for Andrada. Yeah. That can be very discouraging because she needed those takedowns, and every time that she went to get a takedown, she would get back up and she couldn't do anything with it. She's just exerting so much more energy trying to take her down,
Yeah, she really was, and it just seemed like she was trying to throw those haymakers. Here's a question that some listeners have had. Why do you think that the challenger, Jessica, couldn't have gotten closer and just maybe her chin seemed so good? I've seen people write on the internet, why couldn't she have just closed the distance and just rushed her or bull rushed her and somehow got and stayed close enough to make it happen? Was it just that the movement of Johanna was that good, or was Jessica just concerned about just getting smashed with knees or something if she got close? Why do you think she couldn't just get into the distance that she wanted more of the fight than she did?
I think Johanna's movement was just really that good. I mean, she was cutting angles and countering and firing shots almost immediately. Yeah, every time that Andrada would come in too, though, she would have to be worried about catching a knee or a front kick, which Joanna's really good at doing. And I just think that, Joanna's so good at keeping her distance that it was just really tough for Andrade to close any distance. She would get caught with something every time that she would get close enough.
Yeah. Just, a tough girl, though. It almost seemed like she was never hurt, and she took, 50 or 60 or more hard shots. I mean, that girl is like a little bull, isn't she?
Yeah, and her face didn't really even look like she had. I'm sure today it probably does, but
right.
I mean, and at the end of the 5 rounds, she didn't look like swollen or anything. No,
whereas Joanna had that huge knot from that punch in the first.
Huge hematoma.
Yeah, that was a really big hematoma, and it just kept getting bigger. And she didn't let it throw her, but I think that just showed evidence of the power that Jessica had. I think a lot of people thought that Joanna was just gonna, kind of hunker down and stand toe to toe with her, and that kind of may have made for a more exciting fight. But I think if she did that, she could have very well lost that fight. What do you think?
Yeah, she got smart there after that first round. She knew. I mean, she is already swollen up, and the first round did not go her way at all. And whatever her corner was telling her to do, she buckled down and got in there and came back stronger than ever.
Yep, absolutely. And so they're talking about the next contender for her, Rose Namajunas. What do you think of that matchup?
I think Joanna's still going to win that fight.
Yeah, she's tough.
Huh?
She's tough for sure. But you were going to say what? Go ahead.
Rose is tough. But I just, I think that Joanna's striking is still on a different level. And, I don't know if Rose is going to be able to, because Rose has some slick jiu-jitsu, but how is she going to get her down to the ground?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Do you remember
Unless she throws some crazy flying armbar, flying triangle, maybe.
Right. The only person that did good, it seemed like, getting her down was Claudia Gadelha in that first fight that they
Claudia
had.
did good, yeah.
Yeah, that was, but then she just couldn't repeat that, and I don't know. It's going to be tough. Now, down the line, obviously, conceivably, Joanna could be an opponent for you because she looks probably like 125 would be a healthier class for her, although she wouldn't have the height or size advantage. But that could be an interesting fight for you down the line. I think you match up pretty well. You have the length. And so, that could be an exciting fight. If the time was right, would you be down for that fight?
Yeah, I would welcome that fight in a heartbeat. I mean, I think it would be great. Her hand power. I mean, her hand speed is probably or definitely a lot faster than mine. But I feel like I hit way harder and I sit down on my punches a lot better than she does. But I also have head movement.
Right.
I'm not saying she doesn't, because she does, but most of the girls that she fight does not have head movement. They don't understand angles and the footwork and the head movement, like she and I do.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be a pretty competitive fight.
I think so too. Go ahead.
I just said it would be a competitive fight between both of us.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think that the strength going to 25, she wouldn't have that advantage, and it'd be a lot tougher. I think she'd find a bunch of tough girls up there, and I think you would absolutely be one of them, right?
I think so, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of tough girls at 125 that she would struggle with.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because both her and Jessica, although Jessica again would be really short for the 25 class, but I think just a lot of girls are going to move up. I mean, Joanna does; she tends to look really kind of darn skinny and drawn at 15. Yeah, and she's already said she'd love to be the first women's 2-division titleist. So I think she may go up there. Yeah, I think when 25 comes in there, all of a sudden some people may be crying at 15 and 35 because half of the girls in both weights. I wouldn't be surprised if they move to 25.
Yeah, I think that's what's. I think there's going to be a lot of women that are going to go either up or down, and they're going to lose a lot of people in those divisions. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. So they might need to start cultivating some of the people in those divisions soon.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, and I know we don't want to keep you a ton longer because I know you got to get back to training or actually get back to other obligations. Maybe about 10 more minutes.
Mother's Day.
Yep. There we go. Yep. And this is what we are here on today. Now we're going to have this released on Wednesday. So, ladies and gentlemen, to let you know when we have a fighter in camp that's being kind enough to jump in on this, we're going to make sure to do it on her schedule. So you guys are listening. We'll be listening on a Wednesday to this show, but this is indeed being recorded Mother's Day.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. And so we're really glad to have Andrea here on Mother's Day and the day after the event. What do you think about upcoming? First of all, did you watch the press conference for like a lot of big fights that are going to be happening in the next few months, where all that craziness ensued between Michael Chiesa and Kevin Lee? Did you see that?
I missed all that. Wait. Was that when
they were all on that panel? You saw like 20 fighters.
They were all on the panel, and then one guy got punched because they were talking about his mom?
Yes.
Yes, I did see that.
That was pretty crazy. That was interesting. Chiesa really seemed really mad, whereas I think Kevin Lee was just kind of doing his normal thing, playing. I don't even think he realized he said something that out of line, but maybe a week before Mother's Day, and it was interesting seeing the reaction of the other fighters there. They all had different. Holly Holm looked like she was laughing. And
so what was their names again? Because I was watching, but I was like not even sure of who the fighters were, and I feel really bad.
Sure, it was two really good 155-pound lightweights. It was Michael Chiesa, who won the Ultimate Fighter about 5 years ago. Yep, Michael Chiesa. And Kevin Lee, who was a top.
Okay, and Kevin Lee was the one that got the punch in on Chiesa.
Right. When Chiesa charged him in his suit, Lee threw a punch at him, and then there's all kinds of craziness ensued. But that was wild. But that's going to be an intense fight. You know what I thought about that fight that was interesting also, and I know you can't be familiar with every single fighter out there, but they're bringing a guy up from World Series of Fighting, Justin Gaethje, to fight against Michael Johnson. I don't know if you ever saw any of those fights, World Series of Fighting, but I
have seen some of them.
Have you? Did you ever see that guy, Justin Gaethje?
I'm pretty sure that I have, because I remember my teammate was talking about him last night. I feel like I have seen him, but I'm just bad with names.
Absolutely. No, he's like a blonde-haired kid, white guy, really, really tough. I think they call him like the master of violence. This guy was like a highlight over there, like a Rocky of MMA, and so it's going to be exciting. And Michael Johnson actually made a statement in press. He said, "I'm going to try to take this man's life." So it's getting a little bit.
He does.
You're right. Yes, right like that. Exactly. You know what I mean? They had some good talks where Gaethje would say, "We'll take you out to deep water, man, and you won't be able to swim." And then Michael said, "Well, I fight on dry land, player." Yeah. So there's a lot of exciting fights coming up and some really interesting matches. And then they had the face-offs there with Holly Holm and what's Betch Kohea. So what do you? Yeah, that should be interesting. And then the face-off between and a lot of talk between Shevchenko and Nunes. What do you think about that? What's your breakdown on Shevchenko versus Nunes, the rematch?
I think Nunes will probably get the win again, but I think it might be a lot more competitive this time.
Yeah, Valentina's so tough, isn't she?
She's very tough. She's a very good striker, but I mean, in her last couple of fights, she's always the counter puncher. So I'm wondering if maybe she'll be more, if she'll put the pressure on Nunes this time or not. I'm not sure, but I do know she's been working on her jiu-jitsu a lot. I mean, she did get that sub in her last fight, so and that was very impressive. So hopefully this fight will just be a lot. I mean, it was competitive last time, but maybe this time will be even more competitive and more interesting and exciting. Yeah,
and did you see that little dance that Valentina Shevchenko did after her last fight, like a ballet kind of a movement?
Oh, she used to, like, every time that she would walk out before a Legacy fight, when she used to fight for Legacy, she would come out and she would do a little dance down the walkway. It's like the whole way to the cage. It was awesome.
It's like a ballet pirouette or something kind of thing, wasn't it? That's a trip. Yeah, she's a character.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and she's Russian or forgive me if I'm wrong, part of that part of the country, but she speaks fluent Spanish. Did you know that?
I didn't know that she spoke Spanish. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So she's a diverse fighter. But anyway, back to you. I'm really excited about having you on the scene. I really am. I know there's a possibility. People are talking about who's going to be cast in the Ultimate Fighter, maybe at 125. And I know you can't disclose anything there, but that would be interesting. If that did happen, you'd be down for going to the house there from what you've seen in future episodes, or would you not necessarily love doing that?
I haven't completely decided if I'm going to go or not. I mean, my husband and I, we discussed it, and we were I have my fight coming up on the 20th, tryouts are the 22nd, so we're not sure if I'm going to be able to make it to the tryouts. It's I don't know, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's like I do want to go, and then I don't want to go.
Yep.
Because I have to be away from my daughter for a whole summer, and then you have to cut and stay at weight all the time, and
That's right.
I don't know. I mean, like, it's just, there's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons, and I just haven't completely decided, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's good enough for me and our listeners, and whatever you decide, I mean, is cool. I mean, to see you on the show, would be great for listeners, and then you get that exposure there, but then you're right, having to do the constant, staying on weight and being away when you're a mother of a 5-year-old, that would be, it'd be tough as hell. So either way, I know you'll be respected. And I think the good position that you're in that some other girls might not be in is you have you're popular enough, you have a big enough following, I feel, and a really good image that I really don't think you're going to miss out on being in the UFC, whether you don't go or you do go, right? So I think you have that juice going for you, I think, as they say, and so whatever you do will be cool. Well, do you have anything that you wanted to share as far as anything that to the fans that you like or to look out for as far as you doing or anything, just to get to know you better? Like, you like to have your favorite snack food is pizza in your off season, or you're a huge baseball or hockey fan, or give us a few facts that our listeners can say, hey, you know what? I'm so glad I got to know Andrea better because I love baseball too, or I love eating pizza and popcorn or whatever. Give us a few facts, if you can, that the fans might be able to relate to as far as stuff you like when you're not fighting or training.
A few facts. Let's see. Well, I mean, I like frozen yogurt.
Nice.
And I like to put a lot of granola, pecans, and honey. I don't know. That's pretty healthy, though.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I love that. That's like my sweet tooth. I like that. I eat pizza every once in a while. I can't say that like I'm a huge pizza fan, but probably if I went up to like Chicago or New York, I would definitely,
Absolutely.
probably dig into some of that. And any fun, crazy facts? I don't know.
Sports fan at all of other sports?
I love volleyball, and I try to play volleyball with any opportunity that I can get in my free time, which I don't have a whole lot of free time.
Sure.
I watch football with my husband, but he is the football fanatic, and I enjoy watching it with him. So he gets me enthused and stuff, and I'll tweet about it and all that. And I don't like baseball that much. Unfortunately.
No problem. Not my favorite sport either, to be honest, especially people that like excitement. It really isn't it. You got baseball kind of with bowling and with golf. Forgive us for people that love those sports, but yeah.
Yeah.
How about,
you
know what? Go ahead.
You get kind of an adrenaline rush, It's kind of hard to get an adrenaline rush with, I don't know.
Yeah.
Bowling or golfing.
It is definitely
if you're the player.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I thought of as well? Can you shout out any fighters that you admire or that were people you admired before you got in, whether it's female or male fighters, or any like friends you want to shout out that you support their career and are friendly with anybody else that's a high profile fighter or somewhat high profile?
Well, I'd love to give a shout out to my friend Andy Wynn, who I support her. She always supports me, and we love each other, and we're just huge fans of each other.
And she is the king of the cage atom weight champion in the world, is she not?
Yes, she is.
Awesome.
And she'll be in Kansas City there to help me out, and she'll be there for me. Also, I've always been a fan of Chris Cyborg. She's always been like someone to inspire me. Like I love her. She's so vicious in the cage, and she's violent, and I feel like that's how I want to be. Like I want that.
Yeah.
I want to go in there and finish people the way that she does.
Absolutely. That's a good call because, she is just the most dominant women's fighter and one of the most dominant fighters, period, men or women, for years. And a matchup between her and your Invicta co-fighter there, Megan Anderson, looks like that could be a sick fight, don't you think?
Well, I think it could be, but I think it might be a little too soon for Megan. It could be a little too soon for Megan.
Yeah, it's possible, and that's an honest opinion, and I really appreciate that. And I know that some people feel so. Megan, I think, says she's all down. She's ready. She's got the length. She's got the skill. She's got the confidence, and that can take you far. But you never know. But yeah, Chris Cyborg is amazing. Really, really.
But everybody thinks that they have the confidence until that it comes time, and you know that you're fixing to step in the cage with Chris Cyborg. I mean, you have to get nervous. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you watch every single one of her fights. I mean, she's finished every single opponent in a vicious fashion.
That's right. That's right.
It's scary.
Yeah, it really is. You're right. If you really think about it, yeah, she is like the smashing machine. And
scary.
It would have to be to face her, because she looks like seems like a really nice girl, but when it's time to fight, she flips the switch. Looks like she just wants to kill, doesn't she?
Yeah, she is, and she knows it's her livelihood. This is her job. So I mean, she's in there to finish people.
Absolutely. Well, I think she's got that mean mug, and I think you do have the great skill as well, and I think you can keep getting stronger, and I think you can turn out to be an absolute finisher and dominator like her with maybe a cuter mug, and that smile on your face. But I think you can do it. I believe in you. I think you're doing an amazing job already. Well, I want to ask you to stay with us for about 2 minutes after we sign off here, if you wouldn't mind, Andrea. So let me sign off, and then don't disconnect yourself yet. So what I want to do is thank you so much for coming on the show. I think we got to know you. Our listeners were so excited to have you, and we'll be super excited to hear from you Wednesday night. And I'm a big supporter. I was a fan of yours before. I'm a bigger fan now, to be honest with you. And awesome. So not a problem. So I will be following you and cheering for you. And we're just so glad you were able to join us on the MMA Power Hour.
I'm just so happy to have been able to join y'all too on the MMA Power Hour. So thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's our pleasure. And anytime you have time, want to come back, we'll have you again on soon. And you just let us know. All right, give us a holler.
I will.
Awesome. So stay with us, but I will say thank you officially so much. Andrea, you have a very happy Mother's Day, and we'll see you soon. Wow, what a show. Were those two amazing guests or what? I gotta say, I'm so grateful to Mr. Frank Trigg and Miss Andrea, or Mrs. Andrea KGB Lee. They were absolutely amazing guests. They made my job look easy as pie. They're just such great people and so outgoing, and just had so much to say. Charismatic, knowledgeable, friendly people, and I'm bigger fans of them. In all honesty, I do say that sometimes, but I really mean it. These are two really good folks, and I think you guys obviously, hopefully did see that, and that you feel more connected and more familiar with them now, and will cheer for them in their endeavors. I know I will. I hope you guys really like it. We're going to keep this up. Not only, sorry, I lost my voice there. Not only are we going to keep up having great guests, and we're going to have some of our best guests come back, and then some amazing new guests, but we're going to keep on getting everything better with our technical stuff, our production values, people coming in, sponsors, advertisers. A lot of people are interested, and we're going to keep on providing a better and a better product. That's our goal, to make this a show you guys really love and want to look out for. Next week's guest, we have a good example of that. If I have something wow in my throat, sorry to my fans. Let's see if we can wow. Well, that's that's a first. But I do have a particle in my throat here. And let's see if I can get over this. Okay. Well, I guess it shows that I'm human. I guess my producer's cracking up. Lion fist, that was good. He's never seen that happen for me. That's the longest I think that I've been at a loss for words on this show or even in person. So that really shut me up. My girlfriend would like that a lot as well. because she's always said, just once in a while, chill out a little bit. So there I was. I couldn't talk for about 5 seconds. Anyway, next week we're having a great show. We're having Mr. Rob Tatum back from Invicta and Combat Press. Amazing guy, tremendous journalist, been with us, pretty much from close to the start, and he's someone that you want to look out for. Look out for the great work he does to make Invicta what it is, and Combat Press what it is online. And he will be back. A lot of great stuff to say. And we will be recapping this weekend's Invicta fights, where you will see Andrea KGB Lee. Don't miss that. That's going to be on UFC Fight Pass. Yes, it is $9.95 a month. I think they sometimes do have a free week, which you can jump on. But otherwise, if you have the $9.95, and I know not everyone does, but it's worth it. You get a whole bunch of great events every week, and Invicta is on UFC Fight Pass exclusively. So Rob will be here to recap that and talk about a whole bunch of other good stuff that he's involved with, also at Combat Press. We're also going to have Mr. Mark Aragon in charge of photography and all kinds of important press and publicity things at Jackson Wink. We had Michael Lubimoff, the general manager, on. Mark is a huge part of that team over at Jackson Wink, and is going to have a lot of great experiences to share about what they do and some of the big stars that are over there, and a lot of the what goes into making Jackson Wink Academy so successful. So stay tuned for that next week. Don't miss it. We also may have one more UFC Hall of Famer on with them. So if we can, we're working on it, but we're going to leave that for a surprise for you. You got to come and see us next week. Even without, though, we're going to have Rob and Mark. Will be a great show, and me breaking down all kinds of fights with them, recapping past fights, upcoming fights, talking about the Invicta, maybe some Bellator and UFC. It's going to be awesome, and possibly, like I said, that third surprise guest. So basically, what I will do is say the clock on the wall is telling me that we better wrap it up. I want to thank you guys genuinely from my heart so much for coming on, for supporting. We have a lot of friends supporting us from the beginning, a lot of new listeners. Welcome. We really value you. Most of us are martial artists or people that train, and we have that camaraderie and that brotherhood and sisterhood. So you're all welcome. Even if you don't, you're welcome. If you're a big fan of the show, we're so glad to have you. I want to say, as I always say, look out for yourself. It's a scary world out there. Take good care. Be safe. Also, look out and take care of your loved ones. All we really have is each other out there. And so basically, you want to do that. Be a good person. World is only missing one thing, love, really. So throw more love out there. Be that guy and be that girl. This has been Colin Crandall with the MMA Power Hour, and I'm tapping out.
Get ready for FanFlow, the ultimate way to experience live music. With FanFlow, you become a part of the show. Connect and share with fellow fans who love the music as much as you. Control what you hear, control what you see, and record it so you can relive those amazing performances wherever and whenever you want. Before the show, you decide the playlist and interact with the venue. During the show, you share your experience, buy what you're hearing, and hear what you want. FanFlow gives you the superpowers you wish you could have at a live performance, so you become a part of the experience and connect with your favorite performers.
called Wow! Coming out of nowhere with a spinning heel kick. Knockout.
This is Colin Crandall from iFluxy Studios bringing you the MMA Power Hour.
Against Wonderboy. I don't know why people
We'll be talking about everything MMA, recapping most recent fights, breaking down what happened, and especially going over the most exciting upcoming fights, looking at the matchups, breaking down analysis, even predictions, betting advice, all kinds of great things that we will be presenting to you here from super fans, knowledgeable people like myself who train and love MMA. So go to ifluxy.com and tune in for your weekly MMA action on the MMA Power Hour every Wednesday at 8.
It would be good, but Tyron Woodley is a badass fighter. Anyone that doesn't think so, go ahead and tell him to his face, because I ain't going to be doing that for sure, and neither are you.